Vigilante Wins here with a very simple question. That is, how are the Los Angeles Chargers going to do in 2025? My TLDR, 13 wins and winning the division, which is the AFC West. Now listen, there are about 9 or 10 teams that realistically have a shot at winning the championship this year, at winning the Super Bowl this year. And I think 3 of them are in the AFC West. That includes the recent runner-up and recent champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They were the runner-up last year, the champions back-to-back the past couple years before that. And I think this is the year they lose the division. This is the year they take a slight step back regular season. There's a slight hangover. I still think the Chiefs are going to be a good team, but I think the Chargers will win the division at 13 wins. And I think this is the best division in football. My TLDR for the whole division, since this is the first video I'm going to do on it, and we'll see if this is the first video out, is I think there's a slight possibility all 4 teams can make the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen, given I've already picked certain teams like the Bengals and the Colts to surprise people and get 10 wins. And I'm also going to probably pick, I don't know if they'll get 10. I think they'll get 9 as far as the Patriots. So I think they'll be a little tight. But I think even the Raiders, who will probably be the worst team in this division, can get 9. I think, like I said, Chargers will get 13. Wouldn't shock me for 12 or 11 wins for either Kansas City or the Broncos. This is going to be a very tough division. And maybe I should get a little less. It couldn't, maybe it's only 12 wins. But I feel like the Chargers are going to be the best team in this division, at least in the regular season. Playoffs may be the opposite. It would not shock me for the Chargers to be the best team in this division. But if they have to match up with Kansas City in the playoffs, they still lose, which I know Chargers fans don't want to hear. I don't know what you think about Justin Herbert. He's a good quarterback. He is a quarterback that, I'll say my Texans. I usually say my Lions, but I'm going to go with my Texans. They made him look silly in the playoffs. 3 regular season picks, 4 picks in 1 playoff game. Now, I know the Texans probably have the best defense in the league, and they're probably going to make every quarterback look silly. But they made Herbert look silly, and Herbert has an issue in the playoffs. But this isn't about the playoffs. It's about the regular season. So, last year, this was the number 1 scoring defense in the league and the number 11 scoring offense in the league, which usually bodes well. And for a Jim Harbaugh team, they didn't do that good rushing the ball. I mean, they were only a middle of the pack rushing offense. They attempted a lot more than what they got out. They were the 11th most attempts and the 17th most yards and the 24th most yards per attempt. So they weren't that good. Now, I'm somebody who really has a high regard for the running game and a high regard for the utility of an NFL carry. I think sometimes people are getting too much into yards, and the yards per carry has gone up so much since I was a kid. Everyone looks at 4 yards per carry as a low yard per carry, and this is relevant because not only did the Chargers get about 4 yards per carry, one of the new running backs, Najee Harris, who was out with a 4th of July fireworks injury. He had an incident with fireworks, and it's affected his eyesight. He's trying to recover. Hopefully he's back, because I think him and the rookie, Amarion Hampton, out of North Carolina, everything's about me, right? The coach is from Michigan, and then the running backs from North Carolina, and I obviously lived in Detroit and Charlotte. So everything's about me. It's me. This is about me. Every video is really about me. No, I'm just joking. But Amarion Hampton is a dog, and with this coach, I'm not actually a big Harbaugh guy. Yeah, he did win a championship, but I never quite got on with him. Maybe it comes back with when he was with the 49ers, and I forgot what coach we had, but he was all weird with him. I always think of the Harbaugh, especially Jim, it's just a weird fucker, right? A little bit overrated, but he did get a national championship for Michigan, and I do like the fact that he's a run-first coach in an era where the run has been a lot forgotten. It looks like it's starting to come back, and like I said, as far as yards per carry, I mean, because everything is geared towards the pass, everybody gets more yards per carry. And when you have a guy who's going to commit to the run like Harbaugh, he makes your quarterback a lot better because it gives your quarterback less to do. You know, as much as people talk about game managing as if it's this negative, pejorative term, it's how you win games. If you don't turn the ball over and you consistently keep drives alive, you're doing a lot to help your defense. You're doing a lot to keep your defense off the field and therefore keep them more fresh and therefore keep them just more violent, more energy to attack and more energy to play well. Your defense plays better the less is on the field. And that's what ball control offenses do. And they ran a ball control offense, all respect to J.K. Dobbins, who wasn't a bad running back, didn't have a bad year. He gave you about 900 yards rushing, only 100 yards receiving, but he gave you 900 yards rushing. It wasn't a bad running back. And then you had Gus Edwards and some other help. Even Justin Herbert got 300 yards, which is pretty decent for a quarterback. But when you have now two running backs, and I'm really hoping Najee can at least get some playing time this season. Hopefully he didn't fuck his eyesight up that much. You got to watch out with these fucking fireworks. Who would have thought, right? But if you give him and Hampton a lot of these carries and you even increase that carry output, which you would think they want to, if you're a 500 carry team, now no matter what you think about Herbert, even if you're not big on him, he has less room to make mistakes because he's getting less of he's getting the ball less. He's less attempts, and he already doesn't throw a lot of picks. You can say he doesn't throw maybe as many touchdowns as you like. Look at his year. Not bad. 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, again, 3 picks. Low interception percentage. 65.9 completion percentage. You can do a lot worse than Justin Herbert at quarterback. I'm not sure if he's a superstar. I'm not sure if he can be a megastar. He's not on that list of Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. He's now on the next tier down, the Jared Goffs, the Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, and Baker Mayfield, and a few others. He may not be on that tier either. I might even put CJ Stroud in that tier. He may be in the next tier down. That's fine, man. He may be just right outside the top 10, into the top 10 type quarterback. That's fine. If you have the number one defense, and this rushing offense can be what I think it can be with Harbaugh's direction, with these two running backs and maybe more. I'm not sure if there's other running backs they might have got. No, did they draft an extra running back outside of Hampton? We'll look at what they have drafted. That's nothing. They did decent in the draft. They also drafted a receiver. They were good at drafting a receiver in the second round last year, Lad McConkey, who's one of the better receivers in the league. They drafted another one in Trey Harris this year. So if he pans out, now your receiving game's a little bit better. They also drafted a D tackle to help the interior of that defensive line. They drafted another edge. You can say what are they doing at edge? Obviously, Joey Bosa left, even though Joey Bosa was the one who got more injured than Nick. They both had injury issues, but Nick, who played for San Francisco, Cali, I guess they both were in Cali. Kyle Kennard is the edge out of South Carolina. I told you it's all about me. I lived in South Carolina too. So yeah, they drafted some pieces. Again, they already had the number one defense. They do a thing where they have, similar to my Texas, because again, all about me. They have an extra DB, usually an extra safety out there, and that helps their defense. And they're good against the run or the pass. I mean, a little bit better against the pass, but still, number 14 rushing defense, number 7 passing offense. These are with yardage. And again, they're good at stopping people from scoring. With this running game, with another year of Herbert in his offense, I can't tell you what they're going to do in the playoffs, but I can tell you this, especially with Lad McConkey, maybe they got another receiver. We'll see what's his name? Trey Harris, I believe. Yeah, Trey Harris. We'll see how good he is. Marion Hampton, I think, was almost as good as Ashton Genty. I think, he's a very, very talented running back. And we'll talk about Ashton Genty when we get to the Raiders. This team has it all. This team has every reason to think they're going to win it all. And there's a reason I'm picking them to win this division over the Chiefs. Now, some of that is the Super Bowl hangover. It's not as bad as it used to be. We went on a streak back in the day where if you lost the Super Bowl, you were guaranteed to be out of the playoffs the next year. In recent years, it hasn't necessarily gone like that. And even some teams that have won the Super Bowl, like the Rams, could miss the playoffs the next year. But if you look at Philly, I mean, the year after Philly went to the Super Bowl, yes, they did go to the playoffs, but they had a real bad stretch at the end of the season, and they looked like they were in disarray. And similar to the 49ers missed the playoffs last year. And to be honest, I don't think the 49ers are going to recover this year. So with all that being said, it's normal for the Chiefs to experience some deflation from that. I know the refs and all this other stuff and Taylor Swift, but I think the Chiefs are probably only going to win only 11 or 12 wins. They'll still make the playoffs, but I don't see them winning this division. I think this is the Chargers division to win. Now the playoffs, I don't know how they're going to be in the playoffs. I don't know how Justin Herbert's going to be. I don't know how they're going to be matched. I can see them. They're more likely to win a playoff game, ironically, if they're not the number one seed overall. If they can get a game in the wild card, beat up on a weak wild card team, I can see them winning a playoff game, getting that hump off their back. Maybe they lose in the divisional, but if they can beat a wild card team, get an easy wild card game at home, because that's the real issue. Because the Chiefs have dominated this division like 9 or 10 years. And so this is a pretty hot take. Not the hottest it takes, because I'm not the only guy predicting the Chargers. But because of that, the Chargers have not been able, no matter what iteration they've not been able to get a game at home, get a playoff game at home. If they can win this division, get a playoff game at home, that will help a ton. For whatever you think home field advantage means, it doesn't mean everything all the time, but it can be very helpful for a younger team or a team that's just trying to get over the hump. Getting that game at home, and you saw with my Lions, it didn't mean the world having that divisional game at home, but it can mean a lot. And with the talent that they have, I think they'll do well. So again, I'm going 13 wins, maybe 12, but I think they're going to win their division, which is why they're the first team in the AFC West. But this is going to be a tough division. They're going to have 3 other teams, including the Raiders. This is going to be as good as the Raiders has been in a while. I mean, obviously they went to the playoffs themselves not too long ago, but this is going to be up there with that when I get to them. Let's get into the schedule. Almost forgot that. How can I forget that? They start off in Brazil, and that's considered a home game. Oh, goodness. You know what? Quick aside, the NFL doing that, how scammy. You losing a home game because they want to consider it one when you go into Brazil or Germany or England. That is so scammy, and that is so damaging to a team. But, of course, that gives the Chiefs an extra cheap road game. Oh, God. If they don't win this division, it's going to be because of the preferential treatment that the league gives the Chiefs. In any event, they open up with the Chiefs. I think they can beat them. I think they'll split with the Chiefs this year. Then they got the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Again, their in-division games are going to be tough. They may only split. But if they do that, if they're only 3-3 in this division, and I got them going 13 wins, and I'm correct, that means they're only going to lose to one other non-division team. I'm not sure if they'll be that dominant, so maybe they end up sweeping the Raiders, but it's going to be tough. The Raiders are going to be tough. They're going to get a win on somebody, whether it's the Broncos, Chiefs, or the Chargers. We'll see about that. So they open up with a lot of division games. They open up with the whole division. Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. Then they get some relief with the Giants. Then they got the Commanders. Then the Dolphins. They're better than the Dolphins, I think. Even though I think the Colts probably are going to beat some shocking teams. We'll see. We'll see where the Colts are when they go against the Chargers. Maybe they won't see them coming and Colts can upset them. Or maybe they will and they'll be able to beat them. We'll see. And the Vikings, they don't have the easiest schedule. They got some teams. Then the Steelers. And they get the Jags. Okay. Then more in division after a bye. They get a late bye. I think a late bye is better than an early one. So that's helpful. Then they get the Raiders, the Eagles again, the Chiefs. The Cowboys I don't think much of. But then the Texans and the Broncos. Woo, maybe 13 is too many. It's a tough schedule. This is a tough schedule. So for real schedule, man. This is what happens when 3 of your teams in your division goes against the playoffs. Again, if you don't know how these schedules are made, and this is why divisional wins have such a weight, and even though I'm not always in favor of that or haven't always been in favor, it is the way the leagues ran. Based upon your record and your division's record, it depends on that with other divisions who you're linked up with. So in this case, it looks like you're linked up with the NFC East. That's why you're going against the Giants, the Commanders / Redskins, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. They're all NFC East teams, and that was a good division. And then it looks like you get some relief because you get the South as the other team, where you have the Titans and the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Colts. But like I said, the South is going to be pretty good. And then you get ancillary teams, which are not in your division, like the Steelers. You know what I mean? They gave you the Steelers instead of maybe a weaker team. The Dolphins, they're kind of middle of the pack, but this is a tough schedule. I said 13 wins, maybe 12 or 13. We'll see. But again, they're still going to be a good team. They're still going to beat some of these teams. Some of these teams got to deal with the Chargers too. So it's not all, hunky-dory. Let me see how many home games. It looks like they actually have. So I only have 8 home games because of that weird thing going to Brazil. So maybe that's a disadvantage. Even though that's counted as a home. So they're 8-8, going back to the old school. 8 home games, 8 away games. They got some tough games, but they'll beat some of these teams and they'll lose some of these teams. I could be going too high with 13 wins. They maybe go 11-6 like they did last year. There is a stat with Justin Herbert against over 500 teams. I'll say that if that stat is really going to hold true in Herbert's career, then this team will lose. This team won't go 13-3. This team will be mid. If Justin Herbert really can't beat over 500 teams, and that's for real, and that's been what it is thus far. But if he really can't, they won't be much. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think this is going to be a good team. I think they're still going to win the division. Harbaugh is going to have a rushing attack. This defense is not going to have to be on the field as much. And Herbert is going to probably have another receiver with Lad McConkey. But I got them winning the division. I could be wrong. It could still be the Chiefs. We will see. What do you think about the Chargers, the San Diego Superchargers, San Diego?